part of handling it is addressing people on the level they need to be addressed. And that is when it comes to Steven Jackson. Now, I say Steven Jackson because Matt Barnes, who will be on shortly, addressed me in a fashion as somebody who had a real problem with what I said and what he interpreted me saying. And again, that's on me. Steven Jackson went in. Even more so than what he had to say about me with Trump. And I wouldn't say this if I was on a corner with 10 brothers. Stop your lying. Brothers talk any way we want to brothers, because we brothers. We ain't worried about what we say to each other with differences like that. Opinions are opinions. But what he said about me when it came to Russell Westbrook really raked my nerves. He called me a snitch. Now, Steven Jackson, I could ask you, were you high? Let me take a look before I ask again.
He also said, called the league office the other day, and this one, Gilly posted this, and this one hurt my soul, man. Like, he called the league office to see why Russell Westbrook was suspended. And that just don't sit right with me. And he's a journalist, he needs information. That shit was just weak.
You don't work for the league. What make you think you got the power to call and get somebody suspended? So you opening more doors to thinking now, okay, the times where you done went on TV and spoke bad about me and other players, you called and put your vote in to get people suspended. That's what you saying? Like that's crazy that you would openly say that. That's the weakest thing he could have ever said on TV, Matt. Back-to-back days. I come from under the old law, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's people that I grew up with that came out of jail that I know that snitching that I ain't fucking with. He a snitch. You snitching, bro. You called the league and told it, nah, fuck that, man. You called the league and tried to get that man suspended. That was the league decision. You don't do no shit like that, bro. You don't do no shit like that. That's the weakest shit ever. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not fucking with him no more. Y'all can be your homeboy. I can't fuck with no shit like that.
Pardon my language. I don't give a fuck that you don't want to fuck with me no more. I apologize to everybody that don't like me using that language. I just want to say that. Where's your facts, Stack? Where's your fact? Where's your facts? First things first, let's look up the definition of snitch. I'll put it up here on the full screen for y'all. In a criminal sense, a snitch will provide information to the police or feds in order to obtain lenient treatment for themselves and provide information over an extended period of time in return for money or for police to overlook their own criminal activities. Quite often, someone will become an informant following their arrest. By virtue of definition alone, you're not making sense. Now, I'm going to assume you were sober, because you seem to have a little pep in your step, a little more energy. But I will remind you, Stack, you've come at me several times in the past and we've let it go because you didn't know what the hell you were talking about. You didn't have the facts. You had your emotion. I have the facts. So let me give them to you. Nobody's hiding. Russell Westbrook should have been suspended. I said that shit that day. I said it the next day. I said it Sunday. I don't give a damn how you or anybody else feels. He should have been suspended based on the way he acted on Game 3 against the Dallas Mavericks. That is not why I called the league. I called the league because we have a show called NBA Countdown. That show was due to come on in an hour. We had learned that Russell Westbrook would not be suspended for the game. We know that had that been Draymond Green or somebody, they would have been suspended. So I called to find out and decipher what was the reason for him not being suspended. If you need to know, I spoke to Joe Dumas to be exact. Ask Joe Dumas, did I ever once say Y'all should suspend him. Y'all should suspend him. Y'all should suspend him. I never said that. I didn't call for them to suspend Russell Westbrook. I called for clarification to decipher the difference between what would have definitely occurred with a suspension and why it didn't occur in that case, so I could provide an explanation over the airwaves of NBA Countdown, which is my job. You know anything about that? You know what the job entails, Stack? You have any clue? Have you been a reporter for 30 years? Do you understand the obligation to ESPN for a flagship show that is the pregame show for the NBA? You said I don't work for the NBA. I work for ESPN, which gives over $1 billion to the NBA. You don't think they wanted the information? What was the rationale? What did I say when I went on TV? I said, quote, they said the officials wrote their written report and stated we had everything under control. Russell Westbrook caused no problems. There was no further incident, and that's why we let it go. Plus, it was the playoffs. Had it been the regular season, Steven, we would have suspended him. But because it wasn't the regular season, it was the postseason, and there's a lot more at stake. We're going to be highly reluctant to do that. That is the report I gave over the air. Would you have preferred that it came from Adrian Wojnarowski? Would that make you feel more comfortable? Would that have sufficed? I did my job. That's what comes with the NBA. You remember when you ran into the stands and you were fighting, Stack? When Ron Artest got all of that? Remember all of that? Remember when I went on the air and spoke? And my ass got raked through the coals for trying to come to your defense? Remember that? I called the league office. How come it didn't bother you when I called the league office back then? That was 2004, 2005. With one incident after another that you or any other player have found themselves in, when the heavy hand of the league office, in all likelihood, is coming down upon you, we call the league office for an explanation to provide it because the league office wants their explanation over the airwaves from the network they have a rights deal with. It's called business. Now, I know you don't get involved in that too much because you leave that up to Matt Barnes a lot more. But it's business. And I have an obligation to conduct business on behalf of ESPN. Everybody can't be you, Stack. Everybody can't have a podcast and they don't work for nobody else. Everybody can't be committed to always representing the streets and representing the players and think you doing something positive for them by giving them wrong or ill-advised advice. Everybody can't get away with that, Stack. Sometimes you got to tell people what they don't want to hear. Sometimes you got to give it to them straight and real from the other perspective that they inevitably gonna have to deal with. Last time I checked, you ain't writing your own checks. You get it from somebody. Who paying you? You ain't got to listen to them? You ain't got to hear what they have to say? You ain't got to oblige to some degree? You ain't got to work a little extra? You ain't got to take on different responsibilities from time to time that you may not necessarily like, but it comes along with the territory because you signed a contract? You don't know anything about that, Stack? I'm making that up. Come on, bro. You ain't even got to be like that. We were at All-Star Weekend. We were hugging each other so much in the damn restaurant, in the lobby level. Everybody like, y'all must have been boys for years, which we've been. Every time, anytime somebody try to come at you the wrong way, I always remind them you're a real one. You as authentic as they come, you good people. If I disagree with you, I disagree with you. I never disrespect you. And I never, ever in a million years would utter words out of my mouth that would try to turn the brothers against you. You know what using that word means. You know that's out of pocket. Now, I'm going to hold back for now. But make no mistake about it, brother. It ain't fear. Ain't nobody scared. I love you. I've known you for years. You wrong, bro. I didn't deserve that. We know a lot of the same people. You know I know where you from. I know what Port Arthur's all about. I know what you about. You continue to find reasons to get upset. You don't know what went down with me and Kyrie, and you took a position before knowing all the facts. You were upset at me when I was talking to you during the whole, during the riots in the streets. And you were appearing on ESPN or CNN and all of these other networks. And I was talking to you about cats sitting there and wanting you on television and asking you where the hell were they going to be when all of this faded into the twilight. When you wanted to not play in the bubble. When you wanted to not participate. When you didn't want to have an NBA season. And I talked about that force majeure clause that would render collective bargaining agreement null and void. Which means brothers wouldn't be getting paid. We've had our differences of opinions. And there's a lot that I know that you didn't know. I never disrespected you. I never betrayed you. And I certainly never, ever, ever in my wildest dreams thought about opening my mouth and speaking in a way that would make brothers raise an eyebrow towards you as it appears to your authenticity. Don't do it to me. You feel the way you feel, I feel the way that I feel. I respect where you coming from, but you ain't right. You wrong, and you don't have all the facts. And then to not return my call, to not return my text, to not take the offer that your man Matt Barnes took to come on the show and say it to my face and have a man-to-man conversation. Yo, bro, you better than that. Unless speaking to me directly and having to have your facts right in front of my face was a challenge you wasn't willing to accept. As I've said to you and anybody who wants to talk about me, we know that I don't say 75% of the things I know. And we know I don't betray. And we know I damn sure ain't no snitch. That never gets associated with me, bro. And it never will. We'll see each other eventually. Mad love and respect to you. No matter how you feel about me. Still got love and respect for you. You just don't know what the hell you're talking about on this issue. You do not have your facts. You are wrong. And if you don't believe me, call the league office. Call ESPN. You got enough contacts. Find out how wrong you are. I don't expect an apology from you. But I'll be damned if you didn't owe me one. And I'm going to leave it at that until we speak.